Hi, my name is Lanai. Welcome back to La Lanai. Today I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated book releases of 2019. Somehow it is already the middle of January, which is ridiculous. So some of these books have already been released, but since I haven't purchased any new books this year, they're all still very much anticipated to me. I have a total of 16 books on this list, and yes, the perfectionist in me very much wanted to round it down to 15, but I couldn't find it in me to scrap one poor soul off this list. So, allez, 16 it is. And I've ordered these books in dates of publication, starting in January, ending in December. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. The first book on this list is The Wicked King by Holly Black, which was released on January 8th. This book is the sequel to The Cruel Prince, which was released last year, and it follows the story of a mortal girl in the Feylands as she has to navigate the politics of this world and family affairs and being treated very much as an outsider and judged for the fact that she is a human. The story was intriguing and dark and twisted, and I could not put it down when I read it last year, so I'm very much excited to delve back into this world and discover what happens next. Next up, we have The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi, which comes out on January 15th. I am beyond excited for this book. Honestly, the premise reminds me so much of Six of Crows. So we are set in Paris in 1889, and we have this main character who is some sort of wealthy hotelier slash part-time treasure hunter who is contacted by this powerful secret society called the Order of Babel, and they offer him the chance to restore his lost inheritance if he can find some sort of ancient artifact that they are looking for. And so our main character then teams up with this very diverse sounding cast of characters, which includes like a dancer and an engineer and a historian or something, and then they set off through the streets of Paris in order to find this artifact. Gosh, I really love stories about heists and treasure hunts and diverse groups of characters, so this sounds perfect. Also coming out on January 15th is Famous in a Small Town by Emma Mills. This is a YA contemporary, which, to be honest, I don't really know too much about, but I feel like with contemporaries, it's okay. You know, you can kind of go into it not knowing too much about it. To be honest, what really sold me on this book was the synopsis mentioned something about country music or a country star, and then I was like, okay, yes, check, sold, I'll read it. I love country music. So yeah, all I really know about this is that it's about a girl named Sophie who lives in a small town, obviously, and then this mysterious boy moves in next door. I'm expecting it to be full of friendships and romance and just a cutesy high school love story. That's all I need, honestly. That's good enough for me. Coming out on January 29th is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I had no idea that this series, I think it's going to be a duology, but that this was a thing, that this was actually happening. Like, I never knew I needed this in my life until now, but seriously, I cannot wait to read this. So this story, I believe, picks up somewhere after the Grisha trilogy has finished, and it follows Prince Nikolai, who, by the way, was one of my favorites, if not my favorite character from the entire trilogy. I guess kind of dealing with the aftermath of that series, that everything that happened, and kind of picking up the pieces of the war. And yeah, I can't really go into too many spoilers and details about this because you'll have to have read the Grisha trilogy, I assume, but I cannot wait to read this. Nikolai is funny and sarcastic and witty and charming and handsome, and I'm really excited to return to the Grishaverse and the magic system and Ravka, and I really hope that we'll get to see some more of the characters from the Grisha trilogy so we can catch up with them and see how everything turned out. So I am so excited for this, and it comes out really soon as well, so yes please. Next up, and also coming out on January 29th, we have 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. Sally Thorne is the author of The Hating Game, which I read last year and thoroughly enjoyed. I found it to be hilarious and relatable and pretty steamy, so yeah, it was a good time. And in this book, we follow a girl who has, for a very long time, been very in love with her twin brother's best friend, but obviously due to the status of friendship, this boy is very much off limits to her, but I'm guessing it's not going to stay that way in this book. If this book is anything like The Hating Game, I think I'm really going to enjoy it. I found Sally Thorne's writing style to be just utterly hilarious, and her characters were relatable, and she put them in really sticky, funny situations. And I liked the dynamic that she created between her two characters, where she took a kind of a tried and tested trope like the hate to love relationship, but she presented it in a way that seemed entertaining and fresh and unique and very much enjoyable. So I am looking forward to this book. Also coming out on January 29th, we have A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. This is, I suppose, what is called an urban fantasy retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Our main character lives in Washington, D.C. before she, does some things and somehow ends up in this different world where we have the Beast, and you know the story. What interested me about this book was the fact that it seems to kind of be touching upon some pretty serious issues and topics in like modern day society. The main character has cerebral palsy, her mother is dying of cancer, and her brother is kind of the one who is trying to keep things afloat and try to deal with the financial troubles that the family are in. So I'm interested to see how the author plays these elements into kind of the fairy tale aspect of the story, and how she's going to intertwine the modern day world with, I guess, the fantasy world of Beauty and the Beast, essentially. Plus, I'm always down for a good Beauty and the Beast retelling. It is one of my favourite fairy tales, so why not? I know that a lot of times with retellings, like I get all excited about them and then they're kind of a bit disappointing, I guess. But I'm really hopeful about this one. I don't think I've read a Beauty and the Beast retelling which intertwines the modern day and the fantasy world. And it reminds me of Once Upon a Time, this show, which I love. It's one of my absolute favourites. So I'm kind of hoping it will be like a little bit like that, maybe. So fingers crossed on this one. Moving into February, we have Enchantée by Gita Chalice, which is being released, that rhymes, on February 5th. This book is also set in Paris, but this time during 1789, and it follows our main character Camille, who is a normal, like, I don't want to say peasant, but she's just a normal girl, and she uses some type of forbidden magic to infiltrate the palace of Versailles, and here she starts gambling in order to survive some financial troubles that she has. But the longer that she stays at court, the more enchanted she becomes by the rich and the noble, who she is supposed to be hating. So when the French Revolution then breaks out, she has to decide where her loyalties lie. I read a book set during the French Revolution, so this sounds incredibly interesting. I am really keen to read this. Next up, we have Field Notes on Love by Jennifer E. Smith, coming out March 5th. Now, this story is all about a boy named Hugo who, along with his girlfriend, is planning a pre-college train trip across the United States. But when she dumps him just beforehand, he is left with this non-transferable ticket under her name. So he posts an offer online for anyone with the same initials to kind of join him on this trip. And then a girl named May sees this and she accepts. I love stories involving traveling and road trips, so I'm really hoping this story is going to be delivering on those aspects. Also coming out March 5th is Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is a historical fiction novel which mixes war, music, love, and mythology. This novel tells the story about two different couples during the First World War. We have an English pianist who meets a soldier just before he is shipped off to war, as well as an African-American musician who is sent to Europe to help end this war. And once he arrives there, he meets and falls in love with a Belgian girl who has already lost almost everything in this war. What really interested me about this novel is the fact that these stories are narrated by the Greek goddess Aphrodite. This is so unusual. I'm really so interested and curious about this. And I also just have a really soft spot for like war love stories. Ever since I watched Pearl Harbor as a kid, I've just, I don't know man, there's something so complex and gripping about those situations to me, so yeah. At number 10 on this list we have The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman, which is being released on April 2nd. This book is giving me some serious Riverdale vibes, and I read on Goodreads as well. Some people were describing it as like The Raven Cycle meets Stranger Things, which, I mean, it's about a group of teenagers in this small town which is basically ruled by like centuries old founding families or something, and then they set out to defeat a monster lurking in the woods after like dead bodies start appearing everywhere. and it turns out that this town is hiding a whole bunch of secrets and, you know, mysteries and things. So this sounds really creepy and mysterious and spooky and dark and, I mean, Riverdale, right? Next on the list is The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston, coming out on April 2nd as well. This is the companion novel slash sequel to Geekerella, which was a modern day reimagining of Cinderella with the backdrop of like fangirls and Comic-Con and, you know, all the geeky things that we all love. And this time the story is a retelling of The Princess and the Pauper. So we have a girl named Imogen who is a huge fan of the Starfield series, especially the character of Princess Amara. So when Imogen meets the actress that plays Princess Amara, there is a case of mistaken identity happening since they are apparently kind of lookalikes. So what happens eventually is that the script of the sequel of the Starfield movie has leaked, and so these two girls switch lives, they trade places to try and discover who the culprit was. I liked Geekerella. I don't think I loved it as much as everyone else seemed to, but enough to want to continue with the series and see what happens in this next book. Coming out on May 7th is Again But Better by BookTube's own Christine Riccio. I am so excited about this book. Honestly, I knew I was going to love this story when I read the synopsis. I mean, I related to the summary of the story, for goodness sake. So this story is about a girl named Shane who feels like she's doing university all wrong. She has really just gotten into this routine of going to class, going to the dorm, going to the dining hall, going to bed. You know, she doesn't really have any friends, she doesn't go out, she doesn't have fun, and then she decides, no, enough is enough, she has to make a change. And so she signs up for a semester abroad in London, and she is determined to do university right this time. How relatable is this for all the introverts out there? I mean, if this wasn't me first year of university, I don't know what it is. Next up is We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. I'm probably saying that wrong, but this book is coming out on May 14th. It is set in a world inspired by ancient Arabia, and we follow a girl named Zafira who is a hunter, and she has disguised herself as a man in order to feed her people. And then we also have another main character called Nasir, I believe it is pronounced, not sure, but he is basically the prince of this kingdom, and he's also the person responsible for assassinating anyone that dares defy the king. When both of them go on a mission to retrieve a lost artifact that is supposedly able to restore magic to the suffering and endangered world, things get interesting because Nasir has also been tasked to kill the hunter. This kind of sounds like a Mulan retelling a little bit, and I'm guessing there's going to be a romance between the two main characters. I'm hoping it's going to be like a hate to love type of relationship, so yeah, pretty excited. Coming out on June 2nd is Four Dead Queens by Astrid Scholte? I am not sure how to pronounce that last name at all. Sorry. But anyways, this is a new series and it's a fantasy story set in the nation of Quadara, which has been divided into four quadrants, and each one of them has their own queen and their own sets of rules or principles that they live by. So one of them is all about intellectual things, the other pleasure, agricultural, and then the other one is kind of futuristically inclined, I guess, with technology and things like that. Our main character is a thief, basically, I guess. She steals things from each of the quarters, and then these items are sold at a type of black market. But one day an assignment of hers goes wrong and she finds herself in possession of crucial information about the murders of these four queens. So she then goes on a mission to try and discover who the murderer is, what is going on. You know, I guess the story goes and picks up from there. The next book only comes out on October 8th, which is still a very long wait, unfortunately. This book is The Beautiful by Renee Audier. She is the author of The Wrath in the Dawn series, which I have not yet read. I'm very much ashamed of myself. I really want to read that series. I will, I promise. But this book sounds so promising. It is set in the 1800s in New Orleans, a city which is ruled by vampires. This just, I mean, are vampires coming back into YA now? Because Okay then. Okay, that's fine. This book is about like a murder mystery, and there's romance and danger and it sounds like a wild ride, which I am very much ready for. And the last book on this list is none other than Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, coming out November 19. This book! So this is the beginning of a new, I believe, trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I'm still set in the Shadowhunters world, and this time we are following the infernal devices in what is now Edwardian London. So it's about the children of the characters in the infernal devices. Honestly, the infernal devices is one of my all-time favorite series. I loved everything about it. The characters, the plot, the setting. Well. Did I mention well? So yes, I am so ready to get back into this world, discover these new characters and secrets and twists and, you know, Cassandra Clare at her best. And those are all my most anticipated book releases of 2019. I'm honestly so excited about this reading year. So many amazing books are coming out and I just can't wait to read them all. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and I will see you very soon again. Goodbye!